I was making it, okay, you need to drink this because we need to keep this from getting into our body from too much, and we need to fight that because we don't know what can happen. Yes, we have mild symptoms, but after hearing those stories, you never know if those mild symptoms could have turned into something else.
Hey friends, welcome to the More Than a Mother show. I am your host, Lawan Moses, and I am a mom on a mission to help you master your mindset, own your time, and make money moves. Join me each week for tangible tips, tools, and strategies you can use in motherhood, business, and life, as well as inspiring interviews from moms just like you, which will help you own your identity outside of motherhood and find the freedom to do more of the things that you love and enjoy. At More Than a Mother, we are redefining the way you think, feel, and look at motherhood. If you are enjoying this show, feeling inspired and motivated, learning something new, or just absolutely love the show, please do me a favor and help me spread the word. Screenshot this episode and share your biggest takeaways in your Instagram stories. And don't forget to tag me at Lawan Moses and also tag at More Than a Mother Podcast so that I can share your share with my audience. Each time you share the show, it helps me to reach more and more moms just like you. So are you ready, Mama? Let's go.
Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of the More Than a Mother podcast. This is your host, Lawan Moses, and I'm so glad to have you here with me today. If this is your first time listening, at More Than a Mother podcast, we believe that you can pursue your dreams and be a great mom at the same time. I am a success strategist, and I am helping my clients to shift their mindset, unleash their power, so that they can start a profitable business and build a lasting legacy. I am helping my clients to take ownership over their lives so they can find the freedom to do the things that they love and enjoy. I'm so glad to have you here with me today for another wonderful episode. Are you enjoying this show so far? I really hope that you are, and I really hope that is why you keep coming back. And if this is your first time listening, I hope that you enjoy this episode and that you go back and binge listen to seasons 1 and season 2 and catch up on all the greatness that you have missed. While you're at it, don't forget to subscribe, rate, share, and leave a review so that we can get this podcast into the hands, into the ears, into the lives of as many moms as possible. And don't forget, now we're on video, so catch us over on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is Lawan Moses, where you can catch all of the video action of the More Than a Mother podcast. So now that that's out of the way, today we're talking about this pandemic that has been all around us for months. And it's another transparent episode because you know I believe in transparency, I believe in storytelling, I believe in sharing my journey so that I can help to empower others, realize they're not alone, they're not the only ones experiencing these things, and that they too can get through it and achieve their own success. Let's talk about when COVID hits home. Throughout all of these months, my family and I have been doing everything we can to stay protected. We've been wearing our masks, social distancing, staying in the house, sheltering in place, only going out when we need to go out, or for those still working outside the home when they needed to go to work, and all of that. But guess what? COVID still crossed my doorstep. And when I tell you it was scary at first, that's the best emotion that I could use to describe it. My whole entire household wound up with COVID-19, which we think was from exposure at my husband's job. So it started with him, and he developed a slight cough, but it still wasn't the traditional things that we've been hearing in the news about shortness of breath, fever, dry cough, all of that. But he had developed a cough after about, I think he was in the almost to the 14-day window of when from exposure to when you can catch it. And he was almost to the end of that when he first started showing symptoms. And I think it was the very first day that he started showing symptoms that he may have had a fever or feeling like he was sick and chilled and cold. But he took some cold medicine, and after that, he just had just a slight cough. That was our first indication that, okay, you were exposed to this virus at work, so you may want to go get tested. So he went and got tested, and he went to a place where he could get his results within an hour. And he got those results within the hour, and it came back that he was positive. So luckily here in Delaware, we're doing contact tracing for COVID. So we have lots of community sites set up to where anyone can go get tested various days of the week in several different places. So once he got his positive test results, I scheduled for my whole family to go get tested. But in the meantime, while we waited, because we had to wait 2 days to get our test done, I started noticing symptoms in everyone else. And when I think back to it, I started noticing slight symptoms in myself, perhaps 2 or 3 days after my husband started showing symptoms. I noticed that I was very congested. Then I noticed my smell was going. And before I even got the test, I noticed that my taste was going. My son, he himself developed a slight cough and he started feeling tired. And then my daughters, they had the sore throat and the loss of smell and that. But we were very blessed that those were the extent of our symptoms. I mean, no one in my household had a fever. No one experienced shortness of breath. No one had the coughing that spells that we hear of that are keeping people up all night, the things that are causing pneumonia, and all of that. We even had a friend of ours, a friend of the family, who she had no symptoms at all, but because she was around us during that time, she went and got tested as well, and her test came back positive. So we were all dealing with positive test results, being in this house, having to isolate, social distance, wear a mask. I'm around here spraying Lysol, wiping everything down, keeping things clean. But I just am thankful that I was in a position and we were all in a position to where we could really just keep going. It really didn't knock any of us down. I mean, maybe that first day when the symptoms really, when it really kicked in, there was some fatigue and tiredness. But after that, those were really the extent of our symptoms. And for that, we are very blessed and we are very lucky. But again, it was still such a scary place to be in because really not knowing what happened. I mean, I've heard the stories just like you have heard the stories where people may feel fine one day and then the next day they're in the hospital and they're feeling very ill, having to get oxygen, ICU, all of that. And I mean, it was just prayer and faith that really got us through, tapping into my circle, tapping into my mom, to my sister, to everyone, just sending up prayers, having that faith, and just knowing that we were going to get through. That really just helped us. But I am thankful that that really was the extent of our experience. But I wanted to share this with you today just to let you know that I believe at the time I'm recording this, we have perhaps reached over 5 million cases in the United States. And that is alarming because it seems like the numbers are still going up and everyone is impacted differently. And just knowing that our friend in the family who had no symptoms at all, or even us that had the mild symptoms, that really, if we weren't tuned in, that loss of taste and loss of smell were symptoms, then we might have thought that we were fine. But knowing that my husband tested positive and then seeing these things progress, we just went ahead and tested everyone as well. So we all did our 14-day quarantine isolation, went and got tested at the end, and we all tested negative and healed, beat it, and we won our battle against COVID-19.
Do you want immediate access to new episodes, products, events, and even free tips, tools, and strategies delivered straight to you? Well, join the More Than a Mother community today. Head on over to lawanmoses.com and become a part of our community right now. That's www.lawannmoses.com. I can't wait to see you inside my community.
But what I wanted to share with you are just a few things that helped us to really make it through this time. Because, I mean, it was, even with the mild symptoms, it was still scary just not knowing what could happen. I mean, there were times that I did feel like a tightness in my chest, and my son felt that as well. But we really just tapped into our resources, the things that we had seen, the things we had heard over time, to really help us to manage this and get through this and really be proactive and get in front of it and not let it take over our body to the best of our ability. If you know me, you know that I'm a planner, I'm a researcher, I'm going to learn everything I need to know. So back in March, when all of this was first happening and we were getting shortages of everything, the first thing I did was I stocked up on cold medicine, your cold and flu medicine, because I knew that if it ever crossed my household, we were going to need that cold and flu medicine to help with the coughs, to help with the fevers, all of that. And thankfully, I mean, we didn't experience the coughs and fever. I mean, some of us had a sore throat, but we still took that cold medicine because it was the fact of having the congestion in our body that we could feel sometimes. For those of us that did have a cough, them having the cough, we took that cold and flu medicine to keep any fevers, any other symptoms, or anything from progressing. We really took cold and flu medicine. So that is one thing that we did to really help us was to have that cold medicine on hand. Also, vitamin C. I am a big believer in vitamins and immunity. So we had vitamin C, we had our ginger. I was making tea. And for those of you that have heard of Starbucks medicine ball, I make my own version at home of that I'm a firm believer in. And really the key to that is the lemonade mixed in with the tea and the honey. And then I had an immunity tea that I was using along with a peppermint tea and a green tea that I used. And those were like the daily concoctions that I was whipping up for my family to have. And not everyone in my family likes tea, but guess what? I was making it. Okay, you need to drink this because we need to keep this from getting into our body from too much, and we need to fight that because we don't know what can happen. Yes, we have mild symptoms, but after hearing those stories, you never know if those mild symptoms could have turned into something else. So it really was a lot of prayer and just a lot of home remedies that I poured into. Another thing was the hot showers and the steam. Now, when you get the colds and all that, you're congested and everything. One thing my mom used to always have me do when I was little, go in the bathroom, run the shower, or take a hot shower so that that steam can get into your lungs, it can get into your body and really kind of break up that congestion. So whenever I would feel like the tightness or feel anything like that, my son would feel it. I would have him go into his bathroom, I would go into mine, run the shower or take a hot shower and just sitting there. Inhale, exhale, breathe in that steam, let that into our body and really kind of start to break up those things. And I tell you, after doing that, we would walk out just feeling better. Our nasal passages would feel clear from the congestion and all of that. Another thing was Vicks Vapor Rub. I love Vicks, and that's use it whenever there's congestion, rubbing that on the chest and all at night before going to bed. I was doing that for myself, doing it for one of my daughters who suffers from cold related asthma as well. And I'm just thankful that through getting this coronavirus, getting this COVID-19, that although she has asthma that tends to be induced by when she gets a cold or a flu, that was really kept in hand. She had her inhalers and we really didn't have any problems with her breathing. So again, I am thankful for that. And another thing that we did was we kept moving, we kept stretching, we kept going. We refused to lay down. We refused to lay down and take it. Now, I don't know if you all had the opportunity to view Chris Cuomo's video of his experience of when he had COVID-19 and what his specialist told him. So I remember viewing that video and saving it and saying, okay, if this ever crosses my doorstep and comes into my household, I need to have this video on hand so that I can watch it and remember all the things that he said to do. So if you haven't had a chance to check out that video, I encourage you to Google it and listen to Chris detail his experience with COVID-19 and what he was told by his doctors and specialists to really beat it. And a lot of it was the breathing in, taking those deep breaths. Even when you felt like you couldn't, even I felt like I couldn't take the deep breaths, or anyone around me felt like we couldn't take the deep breaths. We took the deep breaths anyway, as he said. The stretch that he showed to do on that screen when he demonstrated the stretch and letting the air into your lungs and doing all that, we did those stretches as well. We got outside, we walked around the neighborhood, even when we were tired, even when we felt fatigued, we kept moving. My girls were still doing TikTok dances and having fun, and it just was telling everyone, okay, you cannot lay down. You cannot just lay here and sleep. You have to get up and move. And really, we kept everyone moving. And again, we were blessed that we only had mild to no symptoms. We didn't have the fever. We didn't have the shortness of breath. We didn't have the cough. Could we have got that? I really don't know. Could it have progressed to that? I really don't know. I just know that from day one, when my husband first started showing symptoms, I went into action doing medicine, doing home remedies, vitamins, everything that we could think of, and just keep moving and all that we had learned over the months. And really, we were blessed through this experience to have a really mild experience and be able to sit here and educate you and tell you what worked for us. Now, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a specialist, so I can't tell you that what I did in my household is going to work for you, or if there's any relation between the two. I just know that these were things that we did over the course of the 2 weeks. And at the end of our 14-day period, we all tested negative. We're all feeling better, and we're all getting back into our normal rhythm of life. So I am just thankful that we are all healed. I am thankful for everyone that sent up prayers, everyone that thought about us, reached out to us. Just so thankful. And one thing, if you don't know, the biggest thing of all that got us through was faith, prayer, and God. It's nothing but God. God is a healer. I have seen him heal over and over again, time and time again. He never fails. He will never let us down. So when all else fails, when I felt like some of those nights when I didn't know what was happening, because for some reason night always seem to hit worse at night. And that's when I was finding myself doing a lot of the stretches and the hot showers and all of that. But when I didn't know what else to do, every night, every day, as I usually do, I covered my family in prayer, covered myself in prayer multiple times throughout the day, prayed for healing, prayed over us, covered us. So along with doing the home remedies, along with the Lysol, the wipes, the disinfectant, cleaning up after everybody, spraying the common areas, wearing masks around the house when we had to be in common areas, and staying isolated, we leaned on our faith, we leaned on God and trusted him to get us through in his time. And I am thankful today that God is a miracle worker and he is a healer. And even with my MS, I am blessed that I did not have any major symptoms. That was such a blessing because there's no telling that whenever catching some type of cold, illness, virus, anything can make my MS flare up or call or have me to have a different reaction to things or perhaps a more severe reaction than others. But I'm thankful that I had no problems with that also.
If you love podcasts as much as I do, then you've probably thought about starting your own. Whether you're looking for a new marketing channel, have a message you want to share with the world, or just think it would be fun to have your own talk show, podcasting is an easy, inexpensive, and fun way to expand your reach online. You can simply start with some gear that you already have and find a quiet space and hit record. Podcasting isn't hard, especially when you have the right partners, and that's why I chose Buzzsprout. Buzzsprout is hands down the easiest and best way to launch, promote, and track your podcast. Your show can be online and listed in all the major podcast directories, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, and so many more within minutes of finishing your recording. With Buzzsprout, you'll get a great-looking podcast website, audio players that you can drop into other websites, detailed analytics to see how people are listening, tools to promote your episodes, and so much more. Plus, the team at Buzzsprout is passionate about helping you succeed. No need to wait. Head on over to Buzzsprout and get started on your podcast today. Best of all, following the link in the show notes lets Buzzsprout know I sent you, gets you a $20 Amazon gift card if you sign up for a paid plan, and also helps support my show. Join over 100,000 podcasters already using Buzzsprout to get their message out to the world. Head on over to Buzzsprout and let's create something great together.
And in talking to my neurologist after the fact and letting them know everything we had been through and what the experience had been, they let me know that it was kind of great that I did get it now because I hadn't yet started my MS treatments. And since the treatment that I'm going to start is really going to suppress my immune system, they were just saying that if I had to get it, it was good that I got it now before my immune system was really compressed, because although they don't have research between MS and COVID-19, we know that with a suppressed immune system, that makes me more susceptible to things even like the common cold and getting that more often than others. But I'm a firm believer in vitamins, preventative medicine, doing what I need to do on the forefront, building up my immune system to the best of my ability so that when I do encounter an illness, when something may happen, it's not going to stand in my way. God is a healer, as I said. He's a miracle worker. And I really wouldn't have gotten through this without him, without those praying for us, without us joining together as a family, because it really was a trying time. And you just don't know when it's going to happen. You don't know when it may cross your doorstep. So many people are getting it, even with taking all the precautions, with wearing your mask, with social distancing, only going out when you need to go out, washing your hands, using hand sanitizer. It still found its way into my house. So that means it can find its way into anyone's. And I really want to just record this and share with you my experience in hopes that if it does cross your doorsteps, that hopefully you find a way and that you push through and you make it through. And maybe something I said here today you may find helpful. But again, this is not a replacement for medical advice. I am not a doctor. I am not giving you advice. I am not telling you what to do. I am not a doctor. I repeat, this is not medical advice. I am just telling you what works for me and my household. And it just seems like there's one thing after another. I went from my MS relapse at the end of 2019 to now in the middle of 2020, catching COVID-19. But I tell you that God is a healer. If you ask me, would I be sitting here recording podcast episodes today with the way I was feeling back in October and November? I would tell you no. If you ask me if I would be strong enough to walk without a cane, if my vision would be clear enough, if I'd be able to sit here in front of these lights without getting migraines, without getting a headache, without feeling so fatigued and just having to shut down in the dark, I would have told you no. So let me be a testimony. Let me share my testimony. Let me be a testament and just show the power of healing, the power of God and all that he can do, because he's truly a healer, truly a miracle worker. He brought me to this point. He can take you through. So just remember to stick close, whatever your spiritual faith background may be. I'm a God girl, so I'm always going to reference God. You know this if you've listened to me for however long, that I rely on my faith and my God to get me through. So there's no limit to what God can do. He is a healer. COVID-19, it is definitely scary. It's a scary experience. Even if you have mild symptoms in your household, it's still a scary experience, not knowing what's going to happen, not knowing how it may manifest. So do what you can. Follow the CDC recommendations. Wear your mask, social distance, wash your hands, clean your common areas, spray, disinfect. Do all the things you can do. Only go out when you need to go out. Avoid large gatherings. I mean, I know things are opening up, but really avoid those gatherings. Do what we can so that we can get through this, because although it may have had a mild effect on us, what if I had been around my parents or someone else that it could have really impacted on a much worse level? So I'm thankful that those that did come in contact with us and all really had mild symptoms and it was really contained and it didn't have that effect it would have had if we would have continued as business as usual and not done what we could to practice our social distancing measures. So do what you need to do. Prepare, plan, stay educated, but don't obsess and drive yourself crazy. Just know that we got through it. My household beat COVID, and it's my hope that if it does cross your doorstep, that you're able to trust in God, trust in your faith source, push through, and that you will beat it, and you'll be able to tell someone, I beat COVID as well. Thanks so much for listening today. This was truly an episode from my heart, just sharing my story, sharing our journey. This was our experience with COVID. Everyone's experience is different. I know many friends and all that have lost their loved ones due to COVID and do not have that same story. So again, as I said, I am eternally grateful. I am so thankful that this was our experience and that we got through it. If you are liking the More Than a Mother podcast, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share it with your friends. Let me know that you're listening. I love to connect with you all. You can find me over on my social media channels at Milan Moses and at More Than a Mother podcast. Drop me a hello, drop me a comment. Just let me know that you're there and that you've been listening to the show.
Want to connect with me before the next episode drops? Do you want a preview of all the great things that are coming to the More Than a Mother podcast? Then join me over on Instagram and Facebook at More Than a Mother podcast. I can't wait to connect with you. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, head over to lawanmoses.com. I love for us to stay in touch. Make sure you leave your email address so I can send you inspiration, tips, and the latest updates. Or, if you prefer, text the word MORE, that's MORE, to 302-440-4632. We have some great things coming up, and I don't want you to miss a thing. Thanks again. Make sure you subscribe and leave a review. Until next time, keep pressing because victory is yours.